we will look at another natural language capability of your Azure AI language service to build a knowledge base of question and answers that can be used by your app or a bot. So this Azure AI language service can help you to build intelligent applications where users can ask questions in a natural language, in their everyday language, and can get the accurate answers. So this is something similar to FAQ section of your website, wherein you will just go and look for any frequently asked question answers, right? So this particular section can be turned into smart conversational systems using this Azure AI language service. So let us understand how do you do this particular process of building a question answering system using Azure AI language. So this particular feature of Azure AI language is used to create smart systems for answering the question. But how? First, you will have to build a knowledge base. So what is this knowledge base? It is nothing but the collection of question and answers that you set up, okay, and this is called as knowledge base. And from where this knowledge base can be built is from various different sources, like you can use the website's FAQ pages, or you can also use the structured document files like your brochures or your user guide. Apart from that, there is another chit chat feature in your Azure AI language knowledge base part, wherein you can add built-in question answer pairs, or you can also predefine some question answers as per your common everyday conversation. Now, how it works: once you have built your knowledge base, then when user asks a question in a natural language, system will search the knowledge base that you have set up for the best answer, and this answer will be provided to the user in conversational way. And when it comes to using this knowledge base within your application, how do you integrate it? So once your knowledge base is ready, you will be publishing the model, and it will be published as a REST endpoint. So your client applications like your chatbots can access this endpoint and fetch the answers to the questions asked by user to your application. Let us look at a practical example. Let's say you have a chatbot on your website. Now a user comes and types a question to a chatbot like, how do I reset my password? So what chatbot does is it sends the question to the knowledge base that you have set up, and knowledge base then find the best answer, which is relevant answer to the question asked by the user, and it send it back to chat. So chatbot then displays this answer to the user in his language itself, and it can just put like, to reset your password, click on forget password on the login page and follow the instructions. So by learning how you can use Azure AI language to set up and manage your knowledge base, you can create intelligent applications which interact naturally with the users. So this helps the systems to provide users with a quick and the accurate information. Now when it comes to Azure AI language, apart from question answering feature, it has another feature called language understanding. So here it is very important to understand the differences between these two capabilities of Azure AI language. So both are nothing but allowing the natural language interaction, but they serve different purposes and they have different features. So let us understand the key differences between these two powerful capabilities of your Azure AI language. So when it comes to question answering, user submits a question and it expects some specific answer. So when user is submitting a question, he expects specific answer. So answer is known here. Okay. But when it comes to language understanding, user will submit an utterance. So like you say to Alexa, okay, play this song. So you are submitting an utterance. Here user will expect an appropriate response or an action. When it comes to query processing, here what this system does is it tries to match the question to an answer in your knowledge base using natural language understanding. But here, in case of conversational understanding, or you can say language understanding, it tries to understand the utterance and it match it to an intent and identify the entities. So here we will study this in detail, what is utterance, what is intent, and what is entity. So these are some of the attributes that you will be defining when you will build a language understanding solution. But here the difference is, in both the cases, query will be processed as asked by the user. Here it will be in the form of question, and here it will be in the form of an utterance. Here it will try to search for the best answer that is matching to the question. But in this case, it will try to understand the utterance of the user and it will try to match it to an intent. Intent means the user ask, what user is trying to ask system to take an action, and it will identify the entity on what kind of object it is asking to take an action. So that identification in this case system has to do. When it comes to response, here it is a static answer to any known question. So every time you pose that same question, you will get the same answer. But here it indicates the most likely intent and the referenced end. So here everything is in the form of intent and entities that system is trying to identify based on the user utterance. Coming to client logic, here client application typically presents the answer to the user. So here user will be getting just the answer to the question. But in this case, it will perform some action based on the detected intent. So it will try to first identify like the intent which it actually user is trying to refer, and then it will take a action on that particular entity based on that identified intent. Both of these features complement each other. So here you need to understand which case you need to use question answering and in which scenarios you need to use language understanding solution. So this is best for the situation when you need direct specific answers to your predefined questions. Like it is ideal for FAQ style interactions wherein you have a lot of predefined frequently asked question document and you can use your chatbot to provide the answers in a quick manner using this question answering for your FAQ style kind of interaction. Now coming to language understanding, this is useful for understanding user intention and then extracting the relevant details from the user utterance. Like what is the intention of the user, what kind of action it want to perform. So it can be something like booking a ticket, okay, or providing some personalized responses. So it is not something which is predefined. It is something a system has to learn like what user is asking and accordingly it has to take an action. Both of the features are very good features wherein you can combine and build a robust natural language solution which can handle both like simple question answer scenarios also and more complex conversational interactions also. So both the features are dealing with understanding the natural language of the user, but both of them perform different kind of solution. Now coming to creating a knowledge base. So there are certain steps when you have to build this particular knowledge base. You need to perform these steps there. Now coming to building a knowledge base. Now when you're trying to set up this question answering solution, you need to follow certain steps. So there are ways with which you can set up the knowledge base. You can either use REST API or you have SDKs available for various programming languages, or you can use a very user-friendly language studio web interface provided by Microsoft Azure. So let us just look at these steps, but we will look at them in detail when we do the demo. So when you have to create the knowledge base, you sign into your Azure portal and then you find Azure AI Services. You have to first create your Azure language service resource. And once you have set up the resource, you need to enable the question answering feature there. You also have to create Azure AI search resource. So we will look at this when we do the demo. So once you have created the Azure AI language resource and enabled the question answering solution, next you have to set up the question answering project in your language studio. So you can use this user friendly language studio interface, and there you can create a custom question answering project. So once you have created the project, now you have to add data sources to populate your knowledge base, right? So now once you have to build the knowledge base, so from where you want to pull the questions or from where you want to pull the data. So you need to specify those data sources. So your data sources can be URLs, which can be the FAQs from some web pages, or it can be files which you can upload. Okay, and these files should be in the structured text format of question answering. And you can also define chit-chat data sets, wherein you can include some conversational Q&A data sets kind of thing, and you can just store all these kind of thing in your, and you can build a knowledge base. And when it comes to editing your question answer pairs, your language studio interface also provides you to manage question answer pairs. So once you have updated, you can always edit it. Okay, so this process involves setting up Azure language service, configuring your question answering feature, and then populating your knowledge base with relevant data sources. All these can be easily managed using your language studio interface. So we will see when we will do the demo. So next is implementing multi-turn conversation. So first of all, let us understand what is multi-turn conversation. Multi-turn conversation helps you to enhance the interaction between your system and user by allowing follow-up questions and clarification. So here, when user asks a question to your system in turn asks a follow-up question back to user. So that way, it helps the system to gather more information before delivering your final answer. So now you understood multi-turn conversation involves a series of interaction where follow-up questions are asked to gather more details from user before your system delivers the final answer to your user. The purpose here for this multi-turn conversation is to help clarifying ambiguous queries or obtaining additional context from the user so that response is more accurate and relevant. And how do you implement this multi-turn conversation? So you need to enable the multi-turn responses. So all this you need to do when you are trying to build your knowledge base. So when you are importing the question answer sources, right, from your web pages or documents, you ensure that your structure supports multi-turn conversation. That means the question answer sources that you are trying to import already should have the follow-up questions in that. Or you can also explicitly define follow-up prompts and responses for your existing question answer pair in your knowledge base. Let's say you've already built a knowledge base of your question answers. So you can explicitly define and add more follow-up prompts there. So how do you define these follow-up prompts? Let us take a scenario. Let us take a scenario of a travel booking knowledge base wherein user asks, how can I cancel a reservation? Then system might need to ask a follow-up question to clarify whether reservation is for hotel or is it for a flight. So what is the follow-up prompt after this initial question that system can prompt is, are you referring to hotel reservation or a flight reservation? And user will get the response based on the user's answer. So user's follow-up answer. Here user can say, if he says hotel, then the system will respond with the information about hotel cancellation policy. And if user mentions flight, then it will respond with details on flight cancellation. So this way user is assured of a accurate answer for the question that he has asked. So in this way, even your application will be able to get more clarity before providing the final answer. Next, coming to link follow-up answers. So here this is very important, wherein you have to ensure that you link all your predefined answers in your knowledge base which is relevant to follow-up question. So this linking is very important so that system should be able to understand so which answer belongs to which question, which follow-up answer belongs to which follow-up question. Or you can also insert new answers for any specific follow-up prompts. And next is context restriction. This is very important, wherein you need to ensure that linked answers are displayed in the context of current multi-turn conversation. So when the conversation is going on, so you need to make sure that the linked answers that you have already linked should only be displayed or should only be delivered to the user. So this will help maintain the conversation's relevance and also the coherence. So this is a simple example flow of the same cancelling a hotel reservation, wherein the flow will have to be as per the answers linked to your follow-up prompt. So this way your multi-turn conversation allows for more interactive and precise responses by incorporating follow-up questions. And this method improves the accuracy of the information that you are providing to the user, and it also enhances the user's experience, by tailoring your answers to the context of the inquiry. And by defining the follow-up prompts effectively, you make your system more dynamic and responsive, right? So this is very important capability of Azure AI language question answering solution. Now, once you have built your knowledge base, you have implemented, okay, you need to test it. So you can test this in your language studio interface itself. You can go to testing section, submit some test questions there, and then review the results based on the answers and the confidence scores for those answers. So it also provides the confidence score, like how confident your underlying model is while providing the answer to your question. So once you have satisfied with your testing, then you can publish your knowledge base to a REST endpoint directly from your language studio itself. Okay. So once you've published your REST endpoint, then this REST endpoint can be accessed by client applications to interact with your knowledge base that you have built. And this ensures your knowledge base is accurate and available for use in applications and bots. So testing is very important before you publish your REST endpoint. Now once you have published, now let's see how you can use your knowledge base in your applications, how you can call the REST API, okay, how you can submit the request to your REST API, and how you can interpret the responses of your REST API. So for making a request in a JSON request body, you have certain fields that you will mention. So your request body will include a question. So this is the question that you're trying to ask to your system. What do I need to do to cancel a reservation? And then you mention a field called top, which represents the maximum number of answers you want to receive. So if you say 2, it will provide you 2 different answers. Okay. And it also provides the minimum score for the answers to be considered relevant. So here you also can provide score threshold, which is nothing but like when the system is checking in your knowledge base for the answers, which particular answer will be presented to the user is depending on the threshold value that you specify. So the confidence score of your answer should be more than 20. Okay, so this is a threshold that you have mentioned. So only the answers which cross the minimum score threshold value are going to be considered as relevant. And then you also can specify strict filters. So this filters helps system to restrict answers based on the metadata that you provide. So let's say you say that you have a different categories of documents. You have a documents related to API, you have documents related to, let's say, some marketing or some finance. So you want your question to be searched only in some particular set of documents. So this will improve the performance of your REST API. So you can mention that filter in this strict filters field. So once you have sent this request to your REST API endpoint, the response body will include these. Here you will have answers to your question that you have asked. First field that will be given to you is score. So what is the score of your answer that is provided? Okay, and then you have ID. This is the identifier for a answer. Okay, okay, and then answer itself will be provided here, and it also revert back with a question. The question that you have asked also will be present in your response body, and the metadata associated with your answer. So it is nothing but the metadata that you provided above. The same thing will be also presented in your response format. So this is your response format. So now coming to improving question answering performance. Now let's say if you want to enhance the performance of your question answering system, so there is a possibility to utilize your active learning and define. So you have this provision in your Azure AI language wherein you can use this active learning, which will help to improve your knowledge base over time by incorporating feedback and alternate question formulations. So this means that you can use this feedback feature, and also you can specify alternate questions or answers to your different question answers. And using this active learning in your language studio, you can add more question answer pair for same kind of questions. You can add like alternate question and answer pairs, or you can also import them from file. Then you have a review suggestion option there. So when you import the questions or when you add the question, this active learning system itself will suggest alternate ways to phrase your question, and you will have something called review pane wherein you can access these suggestions. So when you have imported your data from some file, let's say, in your language studio itself, in the active learning page, you will be suggested with some alternate ways to phrase your question, and you can review these suggestions, and you have option to accept or reject by using the check mark, okay, or you can also delete them. You can do the bulk accept and reject also. So apart from accepting and rejecting these reviews, these alternate phrases that system is providing, you can also manually add alternate question in your knowledge base. So you can edit your knowledge base and add more alternate question to a specific question. And you need to note that this particular active learning is enabled by default, and it will keep on refining your knowledge base continuously. Okay, it will keep on providing you the feedbacks and suggestions. Apart from active learning, you can also use synonyms. You can define synonyms which will allow your system to recognize and respond to different terms that means the same thing. So let's say you have reservation and booking. So one user comes and says use the word reservation, another user use the word booking. So if you have already defined these synonyms in your system will be able to learn from the user queries that reservation and booking means the same, and this will enhance the performance of the system by providing accurate answer for anything, like even though user asks reservation or a booking, but the answer provided will be accurate in this case, because user will be able to understand that this both means the same. And how you can submit these synonyms, you can do it using REST API. So here you can use this kind of JSON request body where you mention it as synonyms and then your alterations. See, so these two are synonyms to each other. So you can just submit to the system and submit and system will learn from it. So this kind of defining synonyms will improve system's ability to match user queries with appropriate answers. So this was all about Azure AI language question answering feature. So we'll look at the lab and then we'll be able to understand how we can build this knowledge base and how we can query the REST API of this particular Azure AI language. Thank you.